Many years ago, when we spoke of inland communication, we referred to our road network. A good road network is important because, among other things, it enables the supply of goods and services around the island and connect people to workplaces, schools, healthcare facilities, and places of worship. The road infrastructure improves the effectiveness and efficiency of the island and increases the standard of living of our people, making their lives easier. Albert Phillips spent his work in Korea building a number of the best roads on our island. You might recall him some time ago when, because of his desire to see the best and only the best for his island Barbados, he walked us through and detailed the different classes of roads on the island. At the end of his presentation, we were left with a greater appreciation of our road network and their builders. Mr. Phillips is back with us again. This time around, he will be looking at the maintenance of our roads. As a veteran in the field, he sees it as his responsibility to offer guidance to the authorities, as together we work on keeping our roads safe for all and in so doing minimize the cost of maintenance. Albert Phillips begins the program by calling attention to something of great importance to all, that which is buried off the shoulder of the ABC Highway that stretches from the Clyde Walcott roundabout to Warrens.
I want to outline here this phase of our highway which relates to maintenance. In this area, stretching from the roundabout here at Hottesville, going towards the roundabout at Warrens, there is a 69 kV electrical line running along this area. Now, before this area was more or less, it is properly kept now. But one of the dangers that exist here is that before this, there were markers from the electric company, which I think Williams, C.O. Williams, put down the 69 kV. And there were markers from Light and Power, which highlighted that there's danger below 6 feet below. What has happened? People were sent to clear this area and make it look nice for vegetation and sort of make the highway look clean. But I can safely say they never outlined, and I would think that this came from either the NCC or the Beauty Flying of Barbados, that team of workers. They never outlined to these tractor drivers, the men who did the mowing and the cutting of the grass, that this is a very dangerous area. Now, there were markers at about every 50 feet apart running along this area stating warning, cable buried below. So which meant that you knew this was a danger area. But with the vegetation like that, which would be like what we have on the other side, all over the place, when the guys started to cut the grass with the tractor, they cut down everything. So they cut down the markers, which meant now that no one knows that there is a cable below. So let's imagine that in future years, a different set of contractors, might be one of your children, might be driving either the tractor or might be the engineer in charge, and they started to dig to put in might be some other pipe or some gas line, and they accidentally hit that 69 kV Well, to sum it up, everybody died. And this 69 kV carries the electricity from Light and Power to certain parts of the island. So therefore, these are areas where, as it is now, I cannot even see a marker. So what I'm saying, that the powers that be, which is the Ministry of Works, should get back onto Light and Power and ask their men to come back out here and put down the markers where the 69 kV is running. Because from my knowledge, there should be as-built drawings which will give you a dimension from the edge of the road, either the edge of the driveway or the edge of the shoulder, to where the 69 kV is running. And then, if anybody has to do any work around here, they will know danger lies ahead. And they will have to be very careful in their work. But this area needs these markers to be replaced because it is a danger. And if this is not looked into, somebody will get hurt down the line. So let's hope that this can be looked into. I'm just trying to outline all the features where maintenance should be had as regards this main highway, because I worked on it from the beginning to the ending, from down under the University Hill to the airport, because as I said, Rayside was a subcontractor to Sintra. And I can also say this, I know there's a consultant firm right now that exists, and I know for sure one of the consultant engineers, whose name I might not mention, but he's very efficient engineer, good engineer. He is still existing, and he still has something to do with some of these highways in other areas. He can verify everything that I say, because he was one of the consultant engineers checking on all the curb work that was done by Rayside and all the work that was done by Rayside. So this area needs to be looked into between the ministry and Light and Power, and these markers should be in place.
This underscores the importance of good record keeping, and certainly with something as central as this, we cannot overemphasize the need to keep records of when, where, what, and why as it relates to this highway. We do appreciate the fact that Albert Phillips has kept a mental record of all of this. We thank him for doing so and for calling attention to something that requires urgent attention.
Now, this is another aspect of maintenance which I can safely say is greatly neglected on our main highway. Now, as you can see here, this shoulder, this paved area should run throughout the highway from its inception of down by the university to the airport, wherever there is paved shoulder, without anything apart from asphalt being in the shoulder. And this shoulder should not have grass coming right up to the edge of the highway. And I will explain why this shouldn't be. Now, the shoulder was designed that if anything happens to the moving traffic, if one gets a flat, he pulls off, he stops on the shoulder, he changes his tire. If a truck breaks down, in order to give the highway clear passage, he pulls on the shoulder. But as you can see, the shoulder also accommodates the water that falls on the road, that goes into the ditch, because the water should flow with the current right across the shoulder and right into the ditch. Now, if there's grass coming up on the shoulder. If the shoulder is matted with grass, the water cannot get down to the ditch. The water is going to hit the grass and stays on the road. Another thing is that the shoulder is where one walks, where a jogger will jog, and where a single cyclist should also be cycling, and where if any person in the area is pushing a pram with their baby or young kids, they should be on the shoulder. So could you imagine if the shoulder now is all grassed up and we get rain and the rain gets into that grass, everything is going to be mucky, everything is going to be wet. So which means that's a problem. And the other thing about these shoulders that happens in Barbados, and it seems as though it only happens in Barbados, is that motorists, if there's a blockage on the highway or a blockage in their lane, they don't know what's the problem, but they come out on the shoulder and drive on the shoulder to get ahead of the traffic. Now, could you just imagine if they meet an elderly person, male or female, walking, and they're coming up there with all that speed? Where that elderly person has to go, they're going to run down in the drain or be struck by the motorist. So these are things that should really be taken into consideration. These are things where we should always have this type of proper maintenance maintained. And also, if motorists are caught doing these type of things, well, I can only say that they should be penalized, because we have to keep our highways safe. And when one considers this as our main highway from the airport to lead you to Sandy Lane and these places, this should be a very beautiful highway with no problems at all. But as you can see, this is what's happening. Now there's also another feature of this highway that has to be seriously looked into, because as far as I am concerned, it's my opinion that it has been seriously neglected. And I think that the people who beautify the highway has to take responsibility for this, and this could be NCC or Beautify Barbados. And I'm saying it's little things like these, if the maintenance are not carried out, it's going to cost the government tremendous amount of money to be repaired, because if the government needs to repair the shoulder, they have to dig up all of that grass. There's also another aspect of maintenance which should seriously be looked at. And this is in the area, as we all know it, the Bermuda Triangle. This is just beyond Cigar Field, Sobers Roundabout. Where the road, if you're coming from Graham Hall, is higher on the left-hand side going to the roundabout. And there under the barriers, you would see like cutouts or grooves, because these grooves are placed there to take the water from the higher level across the road under the barriers to the lower point, which is the ditch on the other side. So these barriers, these grooves under the barriers should always be kept clean, because if these are not kept clean, and it's very easy to get a buildup of debris, dirt. In the crop time, well, we don't have much crops, canes passing out, but the dirt and the grass is not cleared. The water is going to back up on the high side. The water isn't going to get across on the barriers, and the whole place is going to be flooded. The road is going to be flooded, and drivers are going to be complaining, what sort of road you have built that you got water on the roads. But there's no water. that should settle on the ABC highway. There is no water that should settle on Highway 2A or none of these A-class highways which were built by Rayside and C.O. Williams in Barbados, because they all have proper drainage. But if the drainage is not maintained, you're wasting your time. Everything will be flooded. I think I should mention here, I saw the last heavy rainfall we had. I was passing Water Street. And I can tell you that's a good road, because I must say that Rayside built that road too. And that's a very good road. But going into Kingston by the Salvation Army, I heard a lady on the radio crying out. And I was in the area and I went there to see what's happening. And at the low point, the water was nearly up to the level of a car door, halfway up a car, a Suzuki. My feeling is that the ministry should investigate now in the dry time all of those wells that lie in low-lying areas. Check the depths of them, and it's easy to check the depths of a well. You just get a stone, a rock stone, like if you're going to throw it at somebody, tie it on the bottom of your 100-foot tape or 50-foot tape, because I know a lot of the wells in 100 or 50. And you open up the well and you push the tape down. If it stops at 20, you know that well is only 20 feet. Now, tell me, could you imagine we getting a serious rainfall? 20 feet there, half might be 10 feet a mop. Nobody cleans them. You can just imagine that everything is going to be flooded. What should happen is that these wells should be at least 45 feet deep. And I defy anyone to tell me that that should be so, because I could take you and show you about 5 wells, one in front of my house, which is 45 feet deep, and I've been living there now for 50 years. And with all these floods and things, I never had water backing up. So I am saying that the ministry should look into sinking these wells. And if in that area has one well, they should look at an area of it, they can put a second well, so that if something happens to that one and there's a serious flow, the second well could also take some water. And I am positive that that lady will not be able to think that her house was going to be washed away. And the other factor is this, that it's my feeling that no one who is living in Wharton or Kingsland, if they take it upon themselves to keep in front of their homes clean, everybody come out in front of their stretch and in this slip of curb, clean it up, dispose of that bit of debris, not in a well, like how they would dispose of their garbage, put it in a bag, get it carried away. The government won't have to be sending ladies and men out there to clean the sidewalks or to clean the drains. Because if you look after your property, which encroaches on the highway, you help the government by saving money, by looking after that. Where I live, you ain't gonna send nobody to read in front of me, because I always make sure in front of me clean. And I can tell you, my suggestion is that all of these low-lying areas where water, even down through the bridge, even down by, might be well, Murphy Pasture, I've seen that, but I have not studied that situation. But in through the bridge, wherever there's a lower-lying area, one should look at sinking a well that is about 45 feet deep. Because there are wells in Barbados. I have friends went down into the well by Waterford, well, Waterworks deal with. over 200 feet. Out Allendale, there's a well over 200 feet, because I've seen them. So you can't tell me that 45 feet is a danger, you know. And before I leave here, I'm going to show you all a well that's 80 foot deep. And the people are always complaining that the road wasn't built properly, but I will explain when I get to that area, and you will then be able to see that there's everything that people make a criticism about that is really inferior. It's just that it's lack of maintenance. Well, this area I want to outline might be, this is my final segment of maintenance, and this area I know for sure used to carry a lot of serious criticisms because a lot of water which came from Sunbury House and further up on the other side of the doctor's office and Williams Equipment. All of this water came here to two manholes which are either side of the road. This, as you would know, is the lowest part of the road, because if you imagine Sunbury and you imagine down here, when you stay, you can see it. And there's a culvert running right across the road, a box culvert, which then cuts across the roundabout and goes to the center of the roundabout in an 80-foot well. There's an 80-foot well, the depth's 80 feet in the center of this roundabout, and all of this water is supposed to go there. Now what happens, and where the criticism occurs, is that whenever there's a serious rainfall, you find that the water is being washed, the debris, plastic bags, and whatever exists on the road is being washed down from Sunbury and being washed down from further afield to this lower point. And it covers the manholes. So you know, nobody's coming out to clear the manholes. So the water backs up all in the road. And then you hear the motorists calling into Brass Stacks, CBC, all up here in 6 roads flooded. These people built a road and then over the bill, all around the roundabout flooded. But all it means is that if someone, even I have already mentioned it to people in the area, the manholes need to be cleared. If the manholes are kept cleared, the water will just run down, run in the manholes, travel under the road in the box culvert, and makes it way to the 80-foot well. Now, the way it used to be kept cleared was that during our time, the workmanship, when there's rain, you will get one of your workers, you'll give them a cloak, you'll give him a rain hat, you'll give him some rubber boots, and he will come out with his spanker and shovel and clear the manholes. And everything will go fine. But if that isn't done now, and the manholes are cleared, one could easily realize that the road is going to be flooded, and you're going to get these comments. But all it means is that these manholes should be cleared. And not only here, wherever there are manholes on any highway should always be kept clean and cleared so that the water goes into the manhole and finds its way to the wells. And I mean, everything I've said here, I can tell you for this 6 roads to Searles, because this is 6 roads. I'm sure he most likely is resting easily in his retirement. But the civil engineer we had here was a guy called Mr. Nash Lovell. And I'm sure he can verify whatever I'm saying is factual. So all it means is that we have to pay special attention to maintenance. If we do not pay special attention to maintenance, everything will be in disarray. The government will have to spend a lot of extra money, which could be avoided. And I do hope that some of these illustrations and the information that I have given could be adhered to, because I challenge anyone to confront me and tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. Because, as again I will say, I worked on the ABC highway from inception. I work on Highway 2A and all of these highways. And I also want to say here that I remember in those early days, there are about 2 or 3 other places, like as far as we're talking about roundabouts. I know it was plans. I've sat at meetings where there should have been plans. We were going through. We thought we would have had a roundabout at Lowlands. That hasn't occurred. We also thought that we would have had a roundabout if you go across Boarded Hall Road, going to St. George Church at that junction where a lady sells newspaper and coconut water, coming from Ellerton. And there are 1 or 2 roads that, we were hoping would have been properly built, like the ABC, Highway 2A, Spring Garden, and other roads that were built to A-class standard. But I know, in conclusion, monies might be the headache right now with our government, with the COVID and such like. But I do hope that some of these illustrations will be taken into consideration, and that the ministry would at least find it fit to get a team of guys to look into keeping these areas up to date. Thank you.
When a man who has a track record of building a number of the best roads on this island speaks, we ought to listen. Mr. Phillips, the powers that be have heard you. Rest assured they will respond. A veteran road builder who loves his country and delights in providing the best advice and guidance as it relates to the proper maintenance of our road network. Thank you very much. I'm Sherwood McCaskey. All the best.